Hello everybody, I'm Hudson and welcome to my Entrepreneurship Project. So when choosing my product for the project, I decided that I wanted to build a sustainable greenhouse. When I visited Attawapiskat 2.5 years ago, I was severely impacted when I saw the prices of fresh produce. When I went home, I did some research and found out that these prices are quite common for Canada North. And what was even more tragic was the rate of household food insecurity we have. Okay, so let's rewind. So I started to brainstorm. I was originally thinking I would make some sort of snow transport vehicle. The vehicle would be able to move through the snow with ease, as well as transport necessary amounts of produce for cheap. It was a great idea until I realized how long it would take to get produce to the Northern Territories and that they needed to be temperature controlled. So then I shifted my attention to using drones, but I ran into the same problem as the vehicle, time, and temperature control. So I kept coming up with ideas, the same problems of travel time. Until it hit me like my imaginary snow transport vehicle hitting the walls of human limitation. If I can't bring the product to the north fast enough, then just remove the problem entirely. And that's how the idea of the sustainable greenhouse was born. I knew when I developed this idea that I would not be able to build an actual sustainable greenhouse to be completed by the end of Quad 3. Not only did I not have the time, but I also did not have the resources. Apparently getting $200,000 in the span of about 10 weeks is quite hard, but I decided that I would still persevere with this idea because I felt like it was important. So I decided to gather all the information I would need to actually build this product, even though I could only build a prototype. I started by researching all the materials I would need to build the actual greenhouse. I did this by talking to an expert, someone who had actually built a greenhouse up north. Now, Kearney does not get as cold as Nunavut, but it does get very cold. He suggested that I use polycarbonate plastic. The type of plastic is thicker, which means that it doesn't let as much direct light in as the glass does, providing better light diffusion. They also said that the frame should be built out of something like aluminum because it doesn't rot in the cold climate. He also said that it should be built on a concrete slab so that the greenhouse would be more stable, especially with a lot of snow and harsh winds. I also then checked about what I should grow in the greenhouse, and I got a variety of stuff ranging from berries to stuff like potatoes. Now I needed to research stuff about sustainable energy and which ones I would use. My first choice was solar panels because light is something that is very abundant and we can work perfectly. However, since up north we can run into the problem of snow covering up the solar panels, therefore we need backups. So for backups, I had the idea of having a wind turbine because wind is something as well that's very abundant, like most sustainable energy, as well as a lot of those areas don't have a lot of trees, which means that we can get great access to wind. And then if we need some sort of backups relating to heat, we can use things like geothermal coils and a cinder block wall for heat distribution. Next, I need to find the answer to probably the most important question: is this even worthwhile? Would it just be cheaper to just transport food up each year, or is it cheaper to run the greenhouse? So in doing a bunch of calculations for a northern community, I found that a community like Attawapiskat has about 1,500 people, and it costs about $500 a year to help keep someone fed properly. Therefore, it costs about $750,000 a year for the minimum intake of fruits and vegetables to stay healthy. However, the greenhouse would only cost $208,000, and each year it cost about $3,000 to run, which means that no matter how you slice it, it'd be so much more cost effective to just build the greenhouse and ship up stuff every single year. Now that I knew that this was a good idea and something I should pursue, I decided to make a basic prototype. This step would normally require a lot of planning and some good videos. However, I did this all at school, so there's no video of me cobbling a bunch of stuff together. However, I do have the prototype with me, which is made out of straws and glue, and it's about relatively the same size and shape that the greenhouse should be. Now that we have a basic structure idea, it's time to 3D model it. As you can see from the screen, the 3D modeling is pretty simple, only relying on the braces to be 3D printed, and then the open parts is where our polycarbonate plastic will go, or we'll be using a laser cut acrylic for the prototype. And so now that the 3D modeling is all done, it's time to print all the parts out. It shouldn't take too long, only a few days with my printer at home. Yeah, so that happened. So the 3D printer is a bust. And I've tried everything, and I can't figure out any sort of solution to this problem. So I got to think about something. And I thought for a while, about a day and a half, until it hit me that this is a school project and not something personal that I'm doing for myself. And I realized that the school has a printer. So I'll just use that, and then in a few days I'll get my prints and we'll be all good. So the 3D prints came back, and they're They're a little messed up in a few ways. However, this weird bends are not the problem. I tried heat gunning in the oven, and I got a piece to look relatively fine. The problem is the filament bath that they use at school it shrinks the things down for some reason. And I know this because I got acrylic cut just for this project, and when I try to slide it in, that happens. And no matter how I try to bend it or do anything with it, it just sits like this. Therefore now, I have to come up with some sort of situation or solution to try and make this work better. So with 2 failures in the bag for greenhouses, I moved to the only step that would actually work for my current time, which was ordering something off of Amazon and hoping it would work. So it should be here in a few days, and then we'll go from there. So after about 2 days, the greenhouse and the wind turbine is here in the house, and I gotta be honest, it looks a lot better than what I thought it would look like when looking at it on Amazon. It's also very nice because its relative size is about half the size of what the greenhouse should be. Future Hudson here. Let me clarify that I meant half the size of the greenhouse prototype and not the actual greenhouse. Maybe about a third. And so if you look back here, I've added a cinder block wall, which I was talking about earlier, for heat distribution. And relatively, I feel like this looks very nice. And this is what we'd be using for something like a solar panel, which as well, just like the greenhouse, is on a much smaller scale than what it would normally be. A question I should answer is, what did I learn this year that helped me complete this project? Well, a lot did. The idea canvas that we did at the beginning of the year helped flesh out most of my ideas. The innovation project plan that I completed as well made me look at small details that went into my ideas. And then when we looked at videos about pervasive presentations in English, it was very helpful in designing this presentation that I did today. So, I was not able to build an actual full-size sustainable greenhouse or even a working prototype. However, I feel that I made the right decision on developing my idea for the project. I feel this way because I learned so much about growing my own food, and I learned about sustainable energy. I also feel that my project will build awareness of an ongoing problem in Canada. I would suggest to anyone entering grade 10 to choose an idea that they feel passionate about, even if they can't implement it, because they will learn so much along the way. I know that this is the most important thing I learned in ISIM this year, and even last year. Don't worry if you can't implement your idea because of time, money, or sheer size of the idea. Do your idea because you're passionate about it.